I've not seen this, so we're watching this together as friends on the internet.
Okay, so the Internet Archive is dead. Basically, after they got hacked, they were also getting DDoS attacked. I've heard conflicting stories for why. Apparently, the hacker considers archive.org to be an official asset of the U.S. government and therefore an asset of Israel, and so they hacked it. And then I don't know why the guy DDoSing it is DDoSing it, but it's a known thing. So they've been out for over a week now. I want to say even maybe two. And that's a big blow to people. But now they're looking at this centralized archive service and like, wait a second. This archive that plays tit for tat and removes certain people's information from their archive at will, black holes entire websites and 10 years of history from those websites. Can we trust archive.org? And so the small independent archive open source do it yourself things have responded. Archivebox is a thing that I've actually tried out, but it wasn't good enough when I tried it to because what I wanted to do was import a bunch of archives into the Kiwi Farm server. And I tried playing with them, and it didn't work out that well. But they have announced taking advantage of this with 76,000 views that they're going to do some work to help the internet decentralize archives and try to help carry the burden that archive.org was carrying almost by itself. And we don't talk about archive.is for a very specific reason. But he says, and this is Sweeting, I forget his first name, but he's a bit full of himself. In wake, he's like a long hair from Portland, so he's probably gay. He says, in the wake of the recent attack against archive.org, Archivebox has been getting some increased attention from people wondering how to self-host their own archives. Yasser Kadoru says, I used to solely depend on Wayback Machine to archive or automate archiving pages. Now I'm using an archive web pages using Selenium Python package. Um, this told me not to depend on third-party services. Might as well self-host archivebox.io. And they were talking, and the replies were like, "Yeah, it was great." So there's some questions about how they want to make a archive of their own using a decentralized service. So they ponder the ethical quandaries of such an archive. If you can predict where I'm going with this, he says, in an era where fear of public scrutiny is very tangible, people are afraid of archiving things for eternity. As a result, people choose not to archive at all, effectively erasing that history forever. We think people should have the power to archive what matters to them on an individual basis. We also think people should be able to share those archives with people they want, with only the people they want. The modern web is a different beast than it was in the 90s, and people don't necessarily want everything to be public anymore. Internet archiving tools should be keeping up with the times and provide solutions to private and semi private content in this changing landscape. And then he has in this section, what if the content is evil? That's an interesting word to apply to a genuine, true to life, as it was archive, a snapshot of something that existed. But he says, there is content that unfairly benefits from the existence of free public archives like archive.org because they act as a mirror or amplifier when original sites get taken down. There is value in preserving racism, violence, and hate speech for litigation and historical record, but is there a way we can do without effectively providing free public hosting for it? And then someone just says the words, brave of him to dare utter these words of curse on the website Reddit, but he simply says, Engineer simply says, he whispers quietly to the developer, Kiwi Farms. And the developer reels back. He cringes. His hands contort in agony as the hot knife is thrust into his very brain, and he says, mm. There are people that maintain non public archives of stuff like that for litigation, long term archival storage. Think sealed boxes intended for future generations of historians. Only libraries, lawyers, journalists can run their own web recorder, perma.cc, etc. instances. I think that's a reasonable middle ground. We don't necessarily need every single piece of heinous content mirrored for free access 24/7 the moment it appears anywhere on the lowercase I internet. As long as there's some historic record somewhere, that's probably okay. Mm. Very tantalizing. We have to be careful the damage that we cause by archiving. Archives can be used for good, such as destroying Nazi bigots by litigating them, but it can also be used as bad by, for instance, allowing things that I disagree with to exist. We have to be very careful with this.
That's stupid.